Welcome to Pigeon Healthy. Today we're talking about something that every breeder of pigeons deals with at some point: inconsistent or disappointing egg production. You pair up your best birds, provide good food, clean nest boxes, everything seems right, but the eggs don't come. Or maybe the hen lays one egg instead of two, or the eggs are small, thin-shelled and don't hatch. Or your breeding pairs were productive last year, but this year they're not performing. Low egg production and poor fertility are frustrating because breeding is fundamental to pigeon keeping. Whether you're breeding racing pigeons and trying to produce the next champion, breeding show pigeons and working toward your ideal type, or just breeding backyard birds because you love them, you need hens that lay consistently, lay quality eggs, and successfully hatch and raise healthy squabs. There are many reasons why egg production might be low. Age is a factor. Older hens naturally become less productive. Nutrition is critical. Hens need specific nutrients to produce eggs. Stress suppresses reproductive hormones. Disease or parasites divert resources away from reproduction. Lighting and seasonal cues affect laying cycles. Genetics play a role. Some lines are simply more fertile than others, and sometimes there's no obvious reason. The hen just isn't laying as she should. The conventional approach when facing fertility problems is to focus on diet, usually adding commercial breeding supplements, ensuring adequate calcium, and sometimes using artificial lighting to extend day length. In some cases, people turn to hormone treatments or fertility drugs. These can work, but they're expensive. They can have side effects, and they're treating symptoms rather than supporting the bird's natural reproductive processes. What if there was a natural approach that supports the hen's hormonal system, provides nutrients specifically valuable for egg production, and has been used for centuries in traditional animal husbandry for exactly this purpose? There is. It's a small golden brown seed that you might have in your kitchen spice cabinet right now. It's called Fenugreek. Fenugreek, botanical name Trigonella foenum-graecum, is an herb in the legume family native to the Mediterranean region and widely cultivated in India, North Africa, and the Middle East. The seeds have been used for thousands of years as both food and medicine. In traditional veterinary medicine, fenugreek has long been given to livestock, horses and poultry, to improve fertility, increase milk production, and support overall reproductive health. So what makes fenugreek special for egg production? The seeds contain several compounds that work together to support reproductive function. Let me break down the science in simple terms. The science behind fenugreek. First, fenugreek contains phytoestrogens. These are plant compounds that have a weak estrogen-like effect in the body. Now, before anyone worries about hormones, understand that phytoestrogens are not the same as synthetic hormones or even animal estrogens. They're much milder. They work by gently supporting and balancing the bird's own natural hormone production. In hens, estrogen is the primary hormone that drives egg formation, triggers calcium mobilization for shell production, and maintains the reproductive tract. When estrogen levels are optimal, hens lay consistently and produce high-quality eggs. Fenugreek's phytoestrogens provide gentle support to this system, particularly helpful in older hens whose natural hormone production may be declining, or in hens recovering from illness or stress that has disrupted their cycles. Second, fenugreek seeds are approximately 25% protein by weight, and this protein is rich in amino acids including lysine and methionine, which are essential for egg white formation. Eggs are primarily protein, so adequate high-quality protein in the diet is critical for production. Third, fenugreek is rich in minerals including iron, calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium. Calcium and phosphorus are obviously critical for eggshell formation. Iron supports the hen's overall health and blood quality, which is important because egg production is metabolically demanding. Magnesium plays a role in calcium metabolism and many cellular processes involved in reproduction. Fourth, fenugreek contains compounds called saponins and mucilage. These support digestive health and nutrient absorption. A healthy digestive system means the hen can extract maximum nutrition from her feed, which directly supports egg production. Fifth, fenugreek has traditionally been considered a galactagogue, meaning it promotes milk production in mammals. While birds don't produce milk in the mammalian sense, pigeons do produce crop milk to feed their squabs. There's traditional knowledge and some practical evidence that fenugreek supports crop milk production in parent birds, meaning squabs are better fed and grow more vigorously. Sixth, fenugreek has mild anti-inflammatory and immune-supporting properties. Reproductive health is closely tied to overall health. A hen dealing with inflammation, chronic low-grade infection, or immune challenges won't lay well. Fenugreek's general health support indirectly benefits reproduction. How to use fenugreek for breeding pigeons. Now let's talk about practical application. How do you actually use fenugreek to improve egg production in your breeding pairs? There are several methods and I'll walk through each one. This is my preferred method because it's simple, economical, and highly effective. Fenugreek seeds are small, hard, and golden brown. If you feed them dry, many will pass through the digestive system undigested. Soaking softens the seeds, initiates germination, which increases nutrient availability and makes them more digestible. To prepare soaked fenugreek, take fenugreek seeds, approximately 1 teaspoon per breeding pair per day. Place them in a small container and cover with water, about 3 times the volume of the seeds. Let soak for at least 8 hours, or overnight. The seeds will absorb water, swell, and develop a slightly sticky coating from the mucilage content. After soaking, drain off excess water. The seeds are now ready to feed. Mix them into the daily grain ration or feed separately in a small dish. The hens will typically eat them readily, though the first time they may be cautious of the unfamiliar food. Feed soaked fenugreek starting 2 weeks before you plan to pair birds. This gives the herbs time to build up in the system and start influencing hormonal balance. Continue feeding throughout the breeding cycle, from pairing through laying, incubation, and while the pair is raising squabs. Once squabs are weaned and you're giving the pair a break, you can discontinue fenugreek until you're ready to pair them again. Method 2. Sprouted fenugreek seeds. Sprouting takes soaking one step further. Sprouted seeds have even higher nutrient availability, increased vitamin content, and many birds find sprouts more palatable than soaked seeds. To sprout fenugreek, soak the seeds as described above for 8 to 12 hours. Drain completely and place in a sprouting container or jar with good drainage. Rinse the seeds twice daily with fresh water, draining completely each time. Within 2 to 3 days, you'll see small white sprouts emerging from the seeds. Once sprouts are about ½ centimeter to 1 centimeter long, they're ready to feed. Sprouted fenugreek can be fed the same way as soaked seeds, mixed with regular feed or offered separately. Sprouting does require more attention than simple soaking, but the nutritional benefits are greater. If you're already sprouting other seeds for your pigeons, adding fenugreek to the sprouting mix is easy. Method 3. Fenugreek tea. Some keepers prefer to prepare fenugreek as a tea and add it to drinking water. This method is less concentrated than feeding the seeds directly, but it's useful if birds are refusing to eat the seeds or if you want a gentler, more dilute approach. To make fenugreek tea, use 1 tablespoon of fenugreek seeds per liter of water. Boil the water and pour over the seeds. Let steep for at least 20 minutes. The water will take on a golden brown color and develop a characteristic sweet, slightly maple-like smell. Strain out the seeds, allow the tea to cool to room temperature. Add 50 to 100 milliliters of this fenugreek tea to 1 liter of fresh drinking water. Provide this as drinking water for breeding pairs. Replace daily as the compounds in the tea can degrade. Feed fenugreek tea daily starting 2 weeks before pairing and continuing through the breeding cycle. Fenugreek seeds can be ground into a fine powder using a coffee grinder or spice grinder. The powder can then be mixed into soft foods, breeding mash, or sprinkled onto moistened grain. Use approximately 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground fenugreek powder per breeding pair per day. Mix thoroughly with feed to ensure even distribution. Ground fenugreek has a strong aroma and flavor, which some birds love and others initially refuse. If birds are refusing feed with fenugreek powder, start with very small amounts and gradually increase as they adjust to the taste. Dosage guidelines: for standard breeding pairs of medium-sized pigeons, approximately 350 to 500 grams per bird, the daily dose is about 1 teaspoon of soaked or sprouted fenugreek seeds per pair, or 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of ground powder per pair, or 50 to 100 milliliters of fenugreek tea per liter of drinking water. For larger breeds like giant runts or king pigeons, you can increase the dose by about 50%. For smaller breeds, reduce by about 1/3. Start supplementation 2 weeks before planned pairing. This allows time for the phytoestrogens and nutrients to build up in the hen system and begin influencing reproductive physiology. Continue throughout the breeding cycle. Once the squabs are weaned and the pair is resting, you can discontinue fenugreek supplementation. Resume 2 weeks before the next pairing. What results should you expect? Fenugreek is not a magic seed that will cause every hen to suddenly lay 3 eggs instead of 2, or make a 5-year-old hen perform like a 1-year-old. But used consistently, here are the realistic improvements you should see. Improved consistency. Hens that were laying erratically, sometimes laying 1 egg, sometimes 2, sometimes none, should become more consistent. Most healthy hens will reliably lay 2 eggs per clutch when properly supported with fenugreek. Better egg quality. Eggshells should be stronger, thicker, and smoother. Thin-shelled eggs or soft-shelled eggs should become less common. Egg size should be good, appropriate for the breed. Improve fertility. The percentage of eggs that are fertile and develop embryos should increase. This is partly due to the hen being in better hormonal balance, and partly due to fenugreek also benefiting the cockbird's reproductive health when he consumes it. Better hatchability. Fertile eggs should have higher hatch rates. Embryos should develop normally, and chicks should hatch strong and vigorous. This suggests that the eggs contain optimal nutrition and that the incubation behavior of the parents is good. Increased crop milk production. While this is harder to measure directly, Squabs raised by parent birds receiving fenugreek tend to grow faster and reach weaning weight more quickly. This suggests better feeding from the parents. Extended productive life. Older hens, 3 to 5 years old, who might be starting to slow down in production, often show renewed productivity when given fenugreek. They may lay more consistently and produce better quality eggs than they were before supplementation. Faster return to laying after stress. If a hen has been ill, has gone through a difficult molt, or has experienced other stress that stopped her laying, fenugreek helps her return to productive condition more quickly. The timeline for results varies. Some keepers report seeing improvement in the very first clutch after starting fenugreek. More commonly, you'll see clearest results after 2 to 3 breeding rounds. This is because the hen's body is gradually building better nutritional reserves and hormonal balance. When not to use fenugreek. There are some situations where fenugreek supplementation is not appropriate or should be used with caution. First, do not give fenugreek to birds that are not intended for breeding. Fenugreek's hormonal effects are specifically aimed at supporting reproduction. There's no benefit and potential for hormonal disruption in non-breeding birds. Second, use caution with very young hens in their first breeding season. First-time layers sometimes have hormonal surges and may lay excessively or develop egg-binding issues. Adding fenugreek to an already hormonally active young hen could potentially exacerbate these issues. For first-season hens, wait and see how they perform naturally. If they're laying well, fenugreek isn't needed. If they're having trouble getting started, then consider using it. Third, if a hen has a history of egg binding or calcium metabolism problems, address those issues first before adding fenugreek. Fenugreek promotes laying, which is exactly what you don't want if the hen can't safely pass eggs. Ensure calcium supplementation is adequate, that the hen is in good body condition, and that any structural issues are resolved before stimulating egg production. Fourth, fenugreek has mild blood sugar lowering effects. In birds that are underweight or in poor condition, this could potentially cause problems. Always ensure birds are in good body weight and health before starting a breeding program with or without fenugreek. Fifth, fenugreek has a blood-thinning effect in large amounts. If a bird is on any medication or has any bleeding disorder, consult a veterinarian before using fenugreek. At the doses used for egg production support, this is rarely an issue, but it's worth being aware of. Supporting fenugreek with overall breeding management. Fenugreek is a supportive tool, not a substitute for good breeding management. To get the best results, combine fenugreek supplementation with these practices. Optimal nutrition. Provide a high-quality, varied diet. Breeding birds need more protein than maintenance birds. Aim for 15 to 18% protein during breeding season. Provide multiple protein sources. Peas, beans, lentils, wheat, corn. Add greens for vitamins and minerals. Ensure constant access to oyster shell or cuttlebone for calcium and grit for digestion. Minimize stress. Stress is one of the biggest factors that shuts down reproduction. Keep the breeding loft quiet and calm. Minimize disturbances. Maintain consistent routines. Ensure birds feel secure and safe. Proper conditioning. Don't pair birds straight out of molt or when they're in poor condition. Birds should be in good body weight, with healthy plumage, bright eyes, and active behavior before pairing. If birds are thin or in poor health, focus on getting them into condition first. Fenugreek won't compensate for poor overall condition. Lighting. Pigeons are photosensitive, meaning day length affects their reproductive hormones. Natural spring and summer light cycles trigger breeding. If breeding in winter or in a loft with minimal natural light, consider providing extended lighting to simulate longer days. 14 to 16 hours of light per day stimulates breeding condition. Cleanliness. Keep nest boxes clean and well-bedded. Dirty or parasite-infested nest boxes discourage hens from laying or can lead to egg contamination and poor hatch rates. Pairing management. Pair compatible birds. Not every cock and hen work well together. If a pair consistently has poor fertility despite good nutrition and fenugreek supplementation, consider trying different pairings. Some combinations simply don't click. Rest periods. Don't push breeding pairs to produce continuously year-round. Give birds at least 1 to 2 months off between breeding cycles to rest, molt, and rebuild body reserves. Hens that are bred too frequently will eventually burn out and stop laying. Fenugreek supports productive breeding, but birds still need adequate rest. Combining fenugreek with other natural supplements. Fenugreek works well alone, but it can be combined with other natural supplements for even better results. Red raspberry leaf. This herb is traditionally used to tone the reproductive tract and ease laying. Combining fenugreek with raspberry leaf can be beneficial for hens with a history of difficult laying. Make a tea using 1 tablespoon each of fenugreek seeds and dried raspberry leaves per liter. Steep 20 minutes, strain, and add to drinking water. Nettles. Stinging nettle is rich in minerals and vitamins and supports overall vitality. Adding dried nettle leaves to the diet during breeding season provides nutritional support that complements fenugreek's hormonal effects. Dandelion. Dandelion supports liver function and provides vitamins and minerals, The liver plays a role in hormone metabolism, so supporting liver health can improve reproductive function. Offer fresh dandelion leaves as greens, or add dried dandelion to herbal tea preparations. Brewer's yeast. This is rich in B vitamins, which are critical for egg production and embryo development. Sprinkling a small amount of brewer's yeast on feed, about half a teaspoon per pair per day, provides B vitamin support that works synergistically with fenugreek. Hemp seed. Hemp seed is rich in omega fatty acids and high-quality protein. Adding a small amount to the breeding diet, about 1 teaspoon per pair per day, provides fats important for hormone production and protein for egg formation. Common questions. Will fenugreek make hens lay too many eggs? No. Fenugreek supports normal reproductive function. It doesn't hyperstimulate. Hens will typically lay their normal clutch of 2 eggs, but more consistently and with better quality. It won't cause hens to lay 3 or 4 eggs continuously. Can cockbirds eat fenugreek too? Yes, and in fact it's beneficial. Fenugreek supports fertility in males as well. When breeding pairs consume fenugreek together, you get benefits to both the hen's egg production and the cock's sperm quality and libido. Does fenugreek work for pigeons of all ages? It's most beneficial for mature breeding birds, roughly 1 to 5 years old. Very old hens beyond 6 or 7 years may show some improvement but shouldn't be expected to return to youthful levels of production. Young hens in their first season typically don't need fenugreek unless they're having specific problems. How long can I use fenugreek? You can use it throughout the breeding season for as many rounds as you breed your pairs. When birds are resting between seasons, discontinue fenugreek. Resume when preparing for the next breeding cycle. Will fenugreek help if my hens aren't laying at all? It depends on why they're not laying. If it's due to nutritional deficiency, hormonal imbalance, or stress recovery, fenugreek can help. If it's due to advanced age, disease, or anatomical problems, fenugreek won't solve those issues. Always ensure there's no underlying health problem first. Is fenugreek safe for squabs? Parent birds eating fenugreek will pass some benefits through crop milk to squabs, and this is fine. Don't feed fenugreek directly to young birds not yet breeding age. Where can I buy fenugreek seeds? Fenugreek is widely available. You can find it in the spice section of many grocery stores, in health food stores, in Indian or Middle Eastern markets where it's used in cooking, or from online herbal suppliers. Make sure you're buying whole seeds, not fenugreek capsules or extracts meant for human consumption. Whole seeds are much more economical. Does fenugreek have any negative effects? At the doses used for pigeon breeding support, side effects are very rare. Some birds may have soft droppings initially as their digestive system adjusts, but this usually resolves within a few days. The strong smell can be off-putting to some keepers, but birds generally don't mind it. If birds refuse to eat feed with fenugreek, try soaking the seeds and offering them separately so birds can choose. Can I use fenugreek year-round? You could, but there's no benefit to giving it to birds outside of breeding season, and continuous use of any herb is generally not advisable. Use it purposefully during breeding cycles, and let birds have breaks when they're not breeding. Final thoughts. Breeding pigeons successfully requires attention to many factors: genetics, nutrition, management, health, timing. Fenugreek is a tool that supports one critical aspect: the hen's reproductive health and hormonal balance. It's not a miracle worker that will fix every breeding problem, but it's a valuable natural supplement backed by centuries of traditional use and supported by our understanding of phytoestrogens, nutrition, and reproductive physiology. The beauty of fenugreek is that it's safe, inexpensive, widely available, and when used correctly as part of good overall breeding management, it genuinely helps. Hens lay more consistently, eggs are better quality, fertility and hatch rates improve, and squabs grow more vigorously. These aren't dramatic overnight transformations, but steady, sustainable improvements that make your breeding program more successful season after season. If you're struggling with inconsistent egg production, poor fertility, or hens that seem to have stopped laying, try fenugreek. Give it a fair trial over 2 to 3 breeding rounds. Use it consistently at proper doses, combine it with excellent nutrition and management, and observe the results. I think you'll be impressed. If you found this information valuable, please give this video a thumbs up. Breeding is central to pigeon keeping for so many people, and anything that helps improve success naturally is worth sharing. If you've used fenugreek or other natural supplements for breeding, share your experience in the comments. Your practical knowledge adds to our collective understanding. If you haven't subscribed to Pigeon Healthy yet, please do and turn on notifications. We focus on natural, effective approaches to pigeon health, nutrition, breeding, and all aspects of care, using time-tested methods that work with nature rather than against it. Thank you for watching. Take care of your birds, breed responsibly, and enjoy the incredible experience of raising healthy, vigorous young pigeons. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll discuss natural treatment for respiratory infections without antibiotics.